Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Vessalatu vesselamu ala seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecma'in. Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to this panel session after a short break on the topic we were reading on illnesses, remedies for the sick. Alhamdulillah, we went through 9 remedies in our previous series. And now in this session, inshallah, we will talk about and read 10th remedy. So as we know, we have panelists, inshallah. We're going to read from the original text, English translation, and we can ask our guest speakers for their insights. So I welcome Brother Harun Prim from US and Dr. Colin Turner from
We lost your voice. You muted yourself, I think.
Mustafa dropped, I guess.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just kindly reminding that anyone who is attending the session could ask a question through the chat box, or you can speak up by unmuting. And let's start it. So as I was sharing my page, but I think it dropped out. So we can see the text, right?
Yes.
Let me read the 10th remedy first. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 10th remedy: to those who are sick and who worry unnecessarily, I say this: serious illness may cause you to worry, but worrying merely exacerbates your illness. If you want your illness to improve, you must try not to worry. Think instead of the benefits to be had by being ill, think of the reward for it, and have faith that it will pass quickly. This will remove your worries and sever the illness at its roots. Indeed, worry tends to double the illness, for it adds immaterial pains to the already existing physical ones. Physical illness tends to feed off immaterial illness. Submission, contentment, and understanding why one is ill all lessen the worry of illness. As a result, there is a decrease in its severity, and sometimes it almost disappears altogether. Sometimes a minor physical ailment becomes 10 times worse simply through anxiety. When the anxiety ceases, 9/10 of the illness disappear with it. Worry not only increases illness, but it also represents a kind of accusation against divine wisdom. In fact, it is a criticism of divine mercy, a complaint lodged against the compassionate Creator. Because of this, worry makes a sick person worse against expectation, and as a kind of reprimand, the illness becomes more severe. Yes, just as thankfulness increases bounties, complaints increase illness and tribulation. Furthermore, worry itself is a sickness. The cure is to recognize the wisdom and purpose behind illness. Once you have recognized this, apply it to your worry and you will find relief. Instead of regretting, rejoice. Instead of signing, you say, thanks be to Allah for whatever happens. Now I quickly read this 10th remedy. Let's get back to the beginning. And I would like to ask to our panelist, Colin Abi, are you available for your first insights about the 10th remedy?
Actually, yes, because in another group we did this a few days ago. so it's
nice.
still very fresh. We were talking about how Ustad is actually preempting here the whole debate and discussion over the years about health anxiety, which now seems to be at epidemic proportions because of the internet and because people looking up their symptoms on the internet. Everyone seems to have some kind of illness that they have self-diagnosed, and anxiety about this is, out of proportion. I'm thinking of when I was a child, people, especially from my social class, which it was working class, didn't have money to go to see a doctor, and if they got ill, they just got on with it, and they just, usually these illnesses would pass, and if they didn't pass and they died, well, that was it. There was really a kind of pragmatic approach to illness because if you can't do anything about it, of course, now it's different. I'm not saying that if you get ill, you shouldn't see a doctor, but the thing is, what people do, because we suffer in modern society from death anxiety. This is a result of secularization and secularity. We suffer from mortality anxiety. And so illness for many people is very frightening because it could be anything, Someone gets a headache and they think, oh, straight away, I have a brain tumor. People do this. The word is hypochondria, I think, for those who think they're ill when they're not, and extreme anxiety, people self-diagnosing, people talking about their mental illness all the time. 50 years ago, 40 years ago, no one talked about their own mental illness. Now everyone is a self-expert on their own mental illness. It's crazy. And that itself is a mental illness. Hypochondria is a mental illness. And it all goes back to death anxiety. And we can say more about it, actually. This is very important. This 10th remedy is very important because what Ustad is highlighting actually is not just anxiety over being ill, it's anxiety over dying. That is the central worry that people have.
Thank you very much, Colin Abi, for your kind, insights. And I would like to turn to Harun Abi. Would you like to add anything, or
Oh, yes, sure. Assalamu alaikum. Good day, everyone.
salam?
Thank you, Colin Hocam, for getting into this. When I now read, a couple of minutes ago, the original version of 10th Remedy, immediately popped up in my mind. Is worry something bad? On the contrary, these days, I'm thinking that worry is a nice feeling. It's given to us. So, of course, then I questioned, what does Ustad Said Nursi want to tell us here with, how to say, with giving the position of worry bad, bad position. Looks like worry is something bad from this text. But as with everything, I think this is very context-based, and this context here is becoming sick. And when we become sick, actually, we worry about something that does not exist. I think this is one reason that worry under this context is bad. We are worrying about something that does not exist. As you say, what I know is my headache, but I'm worrying about brain tumor. So nobody can prove at that moment that I have brain tumor. So then it is useless, futile to waste this feeling. I think I'm using the waste underlined. We are on the opposite side of waste, or we shouldn't do any waste of any kind. So we are wasting our feeling, which is very unique given to us. We should worry about something that we neglect while it is on our responsibility. We don't act responsibly, so we should definitely worry about that. This feeling is given for us partly for this, encounter. But otherwise, again, I think, Yeah, otherwise, if there's something not evident, and if we worry about something which is not evident, then it's waste of resources, waste of human resources, and we shouldn't do that. And wasting is sickness, as he will conclude that, worry is sickness. I think under this context, wastefulness is sickness. So we should not just do that, because it's going to double our sickness from the root, as it is mentioned here. We have physical sickness, something is going on, but I'm not quite sure what it is. This is the first point that comes to my mind. Second point is, this worry actually takes us away from our responsibilities. So what I need to do is action. So I don't act. I just think about, I just wonder about, hypothetical sickness. So that takes me away from my responsibilities, even responsibility towards this sickness itself. As you say, I should see a doctor, it's an alarm. I should do something. I should not worry. Do it, don't worry. So the second point is, again, the harm it brings because of not taking the responsibility to act. Yeah, maybe this is a nice introduction. Maybe then we can open the other parts as we go further.
I think there's maybe between the Turkish and the English, there's a difference of weight with the word worry, because worry is a kind of constant mental unease about something. And I think merak, which is the original,
Yeah,
uh,
America is something positive actually in general.
yeah, yeah, it's
Curiosity, I would
a
say.
concern, I think, in the sense of anxiety or worry. I think concern and concern is a is a latifa. It's a faculty, a subtle faculty that we're given. If I see that my house is on fire, if I see a curtain is on fire, right, and it could engulf the whole house, if I didn't have concern for the future, what might happen if I just sit and watch, then I wouldn't act, as you said, Harun. We need to act on it. But worry is, for example, if I sit here and I worry that one day my house will catch fire, that's crazy
Yes.
because there's no evidence that it will happen, as you said. So worry unnecessarily. I don't even think this. I mean, I may have to really revisit this translation because I think worrying, merak can mean worry, but it doesn't necessarily mean worry, whereas worry means worry. Worry has a kind of negative weight to it. So unnecessarily concerned, I think, is a better translation.
Yeah, I do agree, Colin Hocam. I think concern is better wording.
So yeah, I think maybe I need to actually change that. But I mean, hypochondria, when there is unnecessary concern and consistent concern about something that you have no idea whether there's anything valid about it, that becomes what in English we call worry. Which is to be ceaselessly anxious about it and unsettled about it, and you can't think of anything else. And this is how hypochondria manifests itself, because you think that you definitely have a brain tumor, you've had a headache for 2 days, and you've Googled, and the first thing that you found is possible brain tumor, and then because we're not if you're not a physical doctor, why are you looking up symptoms? Why would you look up symptoms? I mean, a
And
lot
we are
of
wasting resources over that,
yes,
It takes my
yeah,
time for nothing.
absolutely, because a headache can be caused by thousands of different things. Not drinking enough water, for example, in 2 days can give you a headache. And if you suddenly realize I've got a headache, I must check what it is, and you self-diagnose, there's also in it a kind of arrogance. that you're able to go online and look up your own illness. These are lata'if that we have, which have been completely exposed and what's the word? Misused, actually, by advertising, by just the whole modern zeitgeist really plays upon these lata'if, plays upon these subtle faculties and makes us worry. So many adverts on television, commercials, about illness, about cancer all the time, constantly, causing people fear and playing upon their concerns, right? We all have concerns, but they should never become worry. Because when you're ill and you start worrying about it, then, as Ustad says, it increases it. It really, really does. I mean, I've experienced that. Maybe most people have.
Thank you very much, Colin Abi and Harun Abi, for your great contributions. And as you were mentioning that this worry is one of the critical thing, and it actually, when we stop this worry, like 9/10 of this diseases which we are having could disappear. And it's also getting worse when we make a lot of worry, and advertisements or maybe doctors, maybe social media and internet is actually pumping out to worry a lot. So this adds more sicknesses to our current conditions. And also, I mean, if I want to just also paying attention to the criticism of the divine mercy. So, I mean, worry is not only making these illnesses gets worse, but it is also acquisition to the divine wisdom, right? That's also what it hits me when I'm reading this one. Is there anyone who would like to add to this point? I mean, please feel free to share your insights.
I was going to get into this part. I feel like there's a tawakkul lesson here. Like when we talk about sickness, it's kind of a result, and complaining about the result is going to complain about the creator of the result. And mostly we are in the process, we are not in the product. So once we intervene with the product, then it means we are interfering with the creator of the product. However, our responsibility is dealing with the process. So, and we know it's the best defined as, definition of tawakkul. So I should be, judging myself or judging any steps that I can interfere with, which is the process or the tasks inside processes. It's not the result that I need to be complaining about. Like, I should be studying very well and I should be concerned about doing best during my studies. But once, I failed in the exam, it's still result. And if I know that the instructor has wisdom, then I should trust, the result. Then again, I should go back, turn myself and question what in these steps I did wrong, but I should not question about the failure. I think same here. Sickness is a product. So once I complain about the sickness itself, it goes to the creator of sickness. But I can definitely go back and say I should not have eaten that much. I should not, I should have done many exercises. So I should have done many things that I neglected, on this. I think that should be totally fine. So I take a tawakkul lesson from this part, actually.
Yeah,
I think
thank
that's
you very
important.
much.
Sorry.
Yes, Colin Abi, please
I
go
was just going to
ahead.
say, Harun was talking about we need to think about what we might have contributed to the illness, in a causal sense, because we live in a world of causes. So if I'm diagnosed with diabetes and it's not, and I've been eating lots of sweet things for a long, long time, then that's a warning to me. Or if I'm pre-diabetic, as they say, then that's a warning. We have to. There's a fine line between tawakkul and tawakkul, which is a kind of lazy tawakkul. There is tawakkul, which means, oh, it's qadar. I was meant to get it. I was meant to become diabetic. It's just laziness. It means I couldn't do anything about it. So there's a thin line between tawakkul and tawakkul. It's one of the many, many genius points of the Arabic language. They're almost the same word, just a difference of verb form, and you get the opposite. Tawakkul, and then you get laziness, like, oh, it was qadar, You don't understand qadar, and then you blame qadar for your own laziness. So there's a thin line, and I think Harun sort of expounded that.
Yeah.
But this is there's also arrogance in it as well. All of these new diseases that we have that we didn't have years ago, a lot of it is through anxiety and worry, And now you get people that diagnosing themselves as, the new word is neurodivergent, right? It I'm not really sure what it means, but people who, I mean, there are things like autism, I suppose, which do have an organic root. And then there is dyslexia, which I think doesn't have an organic root. But I mean, I can't be sure about that. But there's so many other things, and anyone who is slightly different to anyone else now in certain communities, they describe themselves as neurodivergent, which means that from the point of view of their nervous system, they are different to everyone else. Well, everyone is neurodivergent. Everyone is different. So there's a kind of arrogance and hubris and human, how can I say, it's self-love, really. It's a kind of solipsism. I'm the only one that matters. I'm the only one that, I am the hidden treasure that everyone needs to discover. So, I have an identity. Today, everything is about identity politics. And unfortunately, this also extends to illness. Some illnesses are luxury illnesses, right? Or niche illnesses, or very, very rare illnesses. Gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. I'm not saying that these things don't exist, but it's kind of an endemic. So when you go to a restaurant, maybe not in Turkey, but definitely here, there's a whole list of abbreviations, gluten intolerant, vegetarian, vegan, fish only, this only, that only. I mean, it's human hubris, human arrogance and selfishness and narcissism and self-worship. Sorry, but this 10th remedy, I find it amazing, but it makes me a little bit not angry, but frustrated at how crazy we've become.
Yeah, it's amazing, how it's connected with tawakkul also, like the points Harun Abi you made it and the explanation Colin Abi you were referring. And also at the end of this paragraph, this is, I think, actually one of the translation of ayah. I forgot the number, but this thankfulness increases bounties and complaints increases illness and tribulation. So if we see these condition like as a blessing and we become like thankful, Allah is giving us like more mercy. But if we complain, and as you said also, Kolinabi, if the arrogance involves into this process, it increases suffering. I mean, it is really linked together. At the end, the more complaint comes, the worse situation is coming and the tribulation. It attracts actually more tribulation, and the blessings we have is going away from us. May Allah help us to really understand this the way Ustad is explaining. And inshallah, this is really a good remedy, as you said, one of the maybe a more comprehensive one. And inshallah, it's a like a ointment also for a lot of issues, and seeing that this worry is also itself is a sickness. What we can say is also how we are gonna cure. What do you think about this concept? Yeah, everyone has a worry, but what should we do in order to tackle this issue. I would like to turn maybe Colin Abi, if you have opinions on that, or whoever wants to actually contribute.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether there are any GPs or doctors in the house today, in the
It would
group
be
today.
great.
It would
Yeah,
be good to have someone's opinion. Taha Burak is a psychologist, but I don't think he's here.
yeah,
I think the point is what makes a person worry is because they're scared of death. You know,
yeah,
let's be quite clear about this. We're supposed to think about death every day as believers. As unbelievers, you're never supposed to think about death, right? Because this is our greatest anxiety, and this death anxiety. I have a personal interest in this because I've worked on it, and I've written an article on it many years ago, and I want to write a book about it eventually, inshallah, if Allah spares me, on death anxiety, which is showcased in Quran when it says that, you know, man thinks that his wealth will allow him to live forever. And this amazing verse in Surah, I think it's Homaza, towards the end, man thinks that his wealth will allow him to live forever. This immortality desire is what drives all human civilization. It's the reason that we fell from heaven was that Iblis tried to sell us eternity, which we already had. You know, see how clever and how satanically, diabolically clever Shaitan was. He fooled us into uh, disobeying so that we could become eternal, and we were already eternal. So this desire for eternality is in all of us, and believers, we know that we will live eternally. Unbelievers don't. They don't believe that they will live eternally, but they have the desire. And that desire cripples them, that desire paralyzes them. And they spend their lives trying to block out and anesthetize themselves and, you know, take out insurance uh, and do this and do that and take potions and creams and pills to try to live for as long as possible. So there is a desire for eternity and for everlastingness among unbelievers that causes them to think in utopian ways. So when you think about, for example, what happened in Cambodia in the 1970s, or what happened in Stalinist Russia in the gulags, what happened in Germany, what's been happening in Afghanistan and Iraq and now in Gaza, these are all the results of immortality desire and the desire to create heaven on earth, because they don't have a heaven in the afterlife. They don't believe in a heaven. So they believe in progress. They put their faith in progress, and they put their faith in utopian policies and utopian projects and vanity projects. So this is all driven by the fear of death and the desire to live forever in some way. If you can't live forever physically, then why not build a Burj, a tower, and put your name on it, right? So in New York, we have Trump Tower, for example. You know, or put your name to a mosque, or put your name to some huge project. Go to the Gulf and you will see thousands of these vanity projects all over the place. Because people want to live forever, even if it's only their name living forever, or their wealth living forever, or having a large family. In Quran, we read about Amwal wa Banun. You know, the prophets were mocked because they didn't have Amwal wa Banun. How can you be a prophet if you have no Amwal and you don't have sons? Now, what does wealth and sons actually mean? It means they are the means of eternalizing your name, making your name eternal. If you can't be eternal, then my name has to be eternal, right? So what Ustad is talking about here is very opposite, because what he's talking about is fear of death, actually, not
mm,
fear of illness. Uh, if I'm ill for 1,000 years, it may inconvenience me slightly, but at least I'm still alive, right? So this is why Ustad's 10th remedy is very important. It needs to be studied more. It needs to be studied by people who have studied medicine and psychology. Um, not so much Western psychology, but even Western psychology. Some of it makes sense, most of it doesn't. But it needs to be opened up. Sorry, I spoke too much, but it needs to be opened up, this 10th remedy,
Yeah.
and not just read in an hour as we're doing, but a whole conference can be written about this.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Great analysis. I mean, the fear of death, I mean, the conditions of human life, when you look at, as you said, we want to carry on our names either through, the sons or through the wealth, amwal, those are the things which is carrying over maybe for centuries. But when we look at the prophet's life, right, very few prophets were very wealthy, but most of them lived very modest life. But their names are still here, till to this day, because they know the wisdom and the purpose behind illness or other things in life happening. Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, I think we need to dig more to really understand, because what happens is if you don't know these things, you regret from the life and you say, I mean, when you face the difficulties. But if we know, the true meanings, right? Seeing the reflection of the names, which is showing Allah here, we praise Allah and saying Alhamdulillah, inshallah, in every circumstances and every situation. Yeah. Harun Abi, would you like to add anything to this point? Please feel free.
That was excellent. I hope, Colin Hocam, you can write that book really. Even transcripts of today's maybe there's lesson could trigger, start of this book project. I love that. And thank you for expanding on social impact, society impact of this fear of death, that takes, countries, administrators to be cruel at the utmost sense. And also, I think it's what you say as wording reprimand or punishment coming, like contrary to the expectation. Here, I think it's a very nice logic. So whatever we are expecting, actually, we are punished with this expectation since we are doing it wrong. So it is written here because of this worry makes a six-person verse against expectation and is a kind of reprimand, this sentence whole. And this is valid with these examples that you give. There's a Trump Tower, but, I mean, regardless of politics, it could be X, Y, Z person. If you try to live long with such means, usually history records you with punishment. History does not, favor you. On the contrary of the expectation, these builders who wants to just put their names on here and there, there are a lot of concrete ways of doing that. And I don't have any example that these people are rewarded, in line with their expectation. They are just punished, in history. You're not remembered very well. And as Mustafa said, the people who are immortal, actually, to say, in quotes, quote unquote, they're the prophets, they are the scholars, they are the right philosophers. So who really lasts long, in this world is the people who are generous, who are trustful, who are, giving the right message. All these things are timeless and they are, touching eternity in the world. So, and interestingly, that's not their expectation as well. So, that's the law. So you cannot go against the law. This law, um, either you are punished or you are, rewarded by this law. So for sickness, looks like wondering about sickness deserves punishment, since it's a wrongdoing in this sense.
I love that phrase you used about it's actually very moving to think of our prophets and great scholars and saints as their memories are touching eternity. In other words, they didn't think about being remembered forever, and yet they are. against expectation. It sort of turns that final sentence around, Harun, at there, right?
Yes, yes,
Against
absolutely.
expectation. I mean, they don't expect to be remembered and to be loved. They did their duty and they went. And yet those people who are scared of death and who try to bargain with God by, spending their wealth and their heritage on monuments to their own self, they are hated and they're remembered very badly by history. Whereas the prophets, we love our prophets and would love to be with them, and we remember them all the time, but for the right reasons and against their own expectation. Whereas when you get, like the war criminals who, I mean, I don't usually name names, but Henry Kissinger, I make an exception because he lived to 100, right? And he lived in health and wealth to 100, but he was responsible for some of the greatest atrocities human beings have ever seen. And, there's absolutely no doubt that he was responsible for the deaths of millions of people in Cambodia, Vietnam. And then you have Afghanistan, and I don't want to go on naming war criminals because there are too many of them, and most of them have Nobel Peace Prizes, strangely enough, see which kind of upside down world we live in, that the war criminals get the Nobel Peace Prizes. So, yeah, I went slightly on a tangent there, but your phrase, their memories and our love of them touch eternity. I thought that was a lovely phrase, and they are the ones that history will remember with love.
There's a hand raised.
Okay. Yes. Brother Razgar, please, you can unmute yourself and
Assalamu alaikum.
alaykum salam. Please.
Actually, I had a small point to add to the conversation. As a rheumatology resident, which is a medical field, and as I am studying, actually right now my desk is full of my textbooks and I am reading, and I quickly put the pages on the part that talks about the principles of management. And the last point that is talking about the management is changing the patient's viewpoint or core beliefs about the disease. And actually, I think that should have been the first point, and it would solve a lot of problems, because all we're seeing and talking about in diseases are the impact of the disease on the patients and on the society, and the billions of dollars that are being lost, and the percentage of people that are being affected with this disease, and it's all in a kind of negative way. But if we talk about them, that the losses that are made are actually they're actually the benefits, because Ustad, the first remedy that talks about is we're in a business, because disease causes our time to become fruitful, and it'll pass. The time will pass very slowly because of that. So it's actually a business of which is very beneficiary. It's not lost. So this immediately changed our viewpoint of the disease. And then the people who are affected by the diseases are usually they think that they are being unjustly affected by the diseases. But then Ustad talks about that it's not actually an unjust thing, because people are not here to enjoy the life. They are here for other purposes. We are not like animals, because animals might enjoy life, but we can't. Why we can't? Because we're not made that way. Fitratan, our fitra is not made for enjoying life, but we are here for other purposes, which is again business. And then again, the lower soul thinks that I am here. I like to enjoy, just like animals. So people generally and lower soul of even Muslim peoples think that they are being treated again unjustly because their rights are breached. But then Ustad in the I think it's in the fourth remedy talks about that we don't have rights upon our own bodies even. And then it talks about the tajalli of the divine names on human bodies, and it gives the example of the person that is being given some money to act as a model. So these different remedies, if we collect them all, will actually can act as a very effective treatment. So people here go to yoga and relaxation, and these are suggested as actual treatment options. But if we study these 25 remedies that Ustad gives us, it will actually bring back a lot of the even the lost financials that people are losing as lost wages or not going to work. So it's going to solve a lot of problems. I think it's very necessary that doctors and even patients get educated about the actual essence of diseases.
Thank you very much,
That's all I
Brother
have.
Razgar. Very good points. I think you are on the field where you explain, and with the text you're studying, I mean, it's well explained, mashallah. And as changing, as you said, the point of view of the patient is very critical, right? I mean, if they truly understand what is this illness, why it is being sent to him or her, it opens up a new window. I mean, we went through a lot of remedies. I think with all the combinations, all of them, as you said, 25 remedies, it's very powerful medicine, you know, psychologically. Ustad is also touching to the, you know, material side. So inshallah, the more we read, the more we are pondering and reflecting us, inshallah, it gives us relief and we become like more thankful, which is the essence of our ibadah, you know, to give thanks to Allah and not to complain about any situation we are in. Yeah, I think, I mean, this point of view which Quran is also showing us, and Ustad is making the tafsir interpretation on that, unfortunately it's against what the the pharmaceutical companies or like some of the people who makes a lot of money about this worry, and the outcome is spending a lot of pills and, you know, medicines and drugs and all of these things. Yeah, this is very good point. Anyone who would like to share their ideas, please feel free to jump in. Harun Abi, Colin Abi, or anyone, please.
I've
This
got a
is
suggestion that for Brother Asghar, when he's finished working on management, he should write a kind of commentary on
yeah.
on this Risale.
Yes. Yeah, it will be a great idea. Yes, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, I mean, if we are okay with the 10th remedy, inshallah, we could read the 11th
Sorry.
one.
Assalamu
Yes.
alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Ali Abi, please.
A few sentences about thanks be to Allah for whatever happens, about the meanings of mysteries of whatever happens. A few sentences only from the 18th word, in the second point, about Bismillah ahsana kulla shayin khalaqa. Second point, this point elucidates one meaning of the verse ahsana kulla shayin khalaqa, who has created everything in the best way, and is as follows: in everything, even the things which appear to be the most ugly, there is an aspect of true beauty. Yes, everything in the universe, every event is either in itself beautiful, which is called essential beauty, or it is beautiful in regard to its results, which is called relative beauty. There are certain events which are apparently ugly and confused, but beneath that apparent veil reside truly shining instances of beauty and order. The illness can be given as a relative beauty. I think I'd like to share to think about it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, to say thanks to Allah, Alhamdulillah, for whatever happens. There are things, Ali Abi, as I understand, there is a directly beautiful. I mean, it appears beautiful. It requires Alhamdulillah. And the things which seems to us ugly, difficult, we may not see, the
Yeah, today Mustafa drops.
I think they're having disconnections. One aspect maybe I can share while Mustafa, inshallah, is back. The studies in a similar way in the 20th remedy, he is dividing the illness into two. It reminded me, so the importance of this 10th remedy. Studies here mentioning there's an immaterial illness, also there's an immaterial illnesses. In the 20th remedy he is dividing, but in this 10th remedy he is showing us what is the remedy for the worry, making shukr, increasing when we increase thankfulness, it is increasing our bounties and decreasing the complaints. This aspect came to my mind. So the remedy for this immaterial illness is ceasing the complaint, stopping complaining, and also making shukr, showing gratefulness for the bounties. So it is decreasing the anxiety, decreasing the worry. So this is the maybe from the 10th remedy, the lesson I got. So the more we thank to Allah, the more we are decreasing our anxieties, our worries, and as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines in the Surah Ibrahim, verse 7, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is increasing the bounties, increasing so the level, the quality of life when we show gratefulness for his bounties. Yes, hopefully Mustafa is back.
Thank you very much. Esmavi, sorry, I was disconnected maybe due to my internet connection. Thanks for explanation. Anyone who would like to add or share his or her ideas, please, you can write down also on the chat box. If we are okay, we have a few minutes left, inshallah. We could read straight or we could make dua. I think this one is, the 11th one is a little longer. Okay, should we leave this 11th one for the next week? What do you think, Colin Abi and Harun Abi?
I agree, since it's a short time, we don't need to rush, and I think
Yes,
we have
yeah.
lots to digest from this week.
Yes. Yeah, this 10th one was very comprehensive. We got a lot of, insights, alhamdulillah. Maybe within a week, we could absorb. And in the coming session, inshallah, we can focus on the 11th remedy. Ali Abi, if you are available, could you please, make a dua for all of us?
Yes. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين اللهم زدنا علما ونورا وحلما وآتنا نعمة ظاهرة ونعمة باطنة ربنا لا تجعلنا مع القوم الظالمين ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا واغفر لنا ربنا إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم بحق سورة الإخلاص اجعلنا من عبادك المخلصين المخلصين آمين لله تعالى الفاتحة